Officer, we charge for this.
Oh, I was like, no. I have to baby Annie. Have a good day.
Primary is like,
Oh.
so the primary is like for Democrats or Republicans?
Yes, whatever your register says.
We are recording now.
And your judge's racing.
All right. Ready to roll?
Yeah.
Welcome to the May 16, 2025 Westtown East Goshen WeGo Police Commission meeting. My name is Dick Pomerantz. I'm the chair. I would have everybody introduce himself. Goody Wright, Vice Chair, East Goshen.
Tom Stone, Citizen at Large.
Neil Carter, Westtown Township Manager.
Derek Davis, East Goshen Manager.
David Leahy, interim chief, please.
Kathy Crow, Business Manager.
Jason Lawrence. Please.
And so with that, thank you and we'll call to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we sit down, if we just do a moment of silence, and make it real simple, and that is, this is for all first responders everywhere, their safety and security. Thank you. We'll begin with a report. We've had a couple of executive sessions. One took place just before this meeting, primarily for personnel. And then we also met as a police commission earlier this week on the 14th. And that was to discuss both legal as well as personnel. We'll move on to the approval of minutes from April 2025. So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Chairman's report, I'll be real quick. One is that, and this is really so the public can know about it, if they haven't seen it already. CNN did a wonderful report. Anybody who's seen it, and that is about the rescue by Ted Lewis with, I think the horse's name is Fanny.
Okay.
Okay. And anybody who rescues animals. I was speaking for my wife and myself, as I wrote in a note to him. It's a good thing. It's wonderful. And we're all made better for it because of the experience that we're doing. Real quickly is that we have a lot on our plate between this particular meeting and to the end of the year. Among them is that we have the consultant's report, the implementation of it. We have the police chief search, a process that's underway. We have, obviously, will be associated negotiations with the association that will start taking place fairly soon. So that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to echo his comments on Ted. That was a great story on CNN. And then also on Tuesday, we have our primary election. And I'm hoping that it's going to be probably a very slow day. So hopefully no issues needed.
The police commission recognized the officers here for police memorials, so we did do that this year. That's all I have.
Yeah, thank you.
Interim Chief Dave Leahy, report any concerns?
Yeah, so as far as compliments go, I'm gonna save them, let them build up a little bit more for next meeting in June. Again, thank Commissioner Stone for bringing the officers pretzel tray this week on behalf of the Police Commission in honor of National Police Week. As you know, our own officer Josh Mikan passed away in 2021 from COVID-related illness that he contracted while on duty. He was honored at the police memorial in 2023, and his name was etched on the wall to forever be honored as one of the fallen officers. So during this week, I'd like to extend our deepest gratitude to any officer that that works currently and that has given the ultimate sacrifice.
How's his family doing?
They're doing well.
Yeah.
Yep, their kids are getting older. His wife's doing well. So yeah,
That's great.
Did Tulsa Towers buy them a house to pay their mortgage?
I'm sorry.
Did they get a mortgage payment?
I don't know if Tunnels for Towers did anything with them or not. I can't. Did they? Yeah.
They paid the mortgage, didn't they?
I believe so. Did they? believe, is Ryan Benningfield still on?
He is.
Okay. I officially want to congratulate Officer Benningfield. He was recognized by the Westchester Emergency Response Team last week as the 2024 SWAT Officer of the Year.
Oh, nice.
So he's not here now, but I do want Ryan to come in and show you and present his award to you guys so you can see it going forward, maybe in June if he's available.
That'd be great.
So congratulations, Ryan. So the department, I'm happy to say the department has officially transitioned from our Sig Sauer duty weapons to Glock 45 9mm. That include red dot sights. I would like to thank Sergeant Ragney and the rest of the firearms unit, especially Officer Ryan Benningfield, who has instructed the red dot training. This new training greatly increased our accuracy this past time at the range during qualifying. It's really going to be a game changer. I've been doing this for 27 years, shooting the same way. It's for all of us, it's different using this red dot sight, but it really is amazing to see how it worked. So it was a great job by the firearms unit. Lastly, Dick and Cody, you already touched on it, but I just do want to say that CNN story, I had it on my list here to touch on too, was amazing. Very well done. Ted represented the department in a very professional, honorable way in that story. So that's all.
That's the first time that WeGo's ever been on CNN.
I believe, and
Shooting.
yeah, probably there was probably.
In a positive light the first
Yeah,
time.
well, in a positive,
That's a good point.
in a story like that, yeah.
Do you think we're able to put that link on Crime Watch?
We probably can. I know Stephen Hinman, our social media guru, put it on our Facebook page. Yes, good.
Okay.
And that's all I have for a report.
Stats? Kathy?
Yep, so statistical report. In April, there were 1,895 total incidents. Year to date, as of April 30th, there were 8,248. Westtown specifically in April, there were 816. East Goshen, 1,062. Again, the breakdown of all those calls we viewed on the Police Commission packet on the Crime Watch page. Just some trends that we are seeing. I warned about this a couple of these in the last couple of months, but our retail thefts in both townships are trending upwards. The Giant in East Goshen, the Giant in Westtown, the Wawa in Westtown specifically. Fraud reports continue to be trending. We keep trying to get the word out. Just as of yesterday, Detective Hale gave a fraud presentation at Goshen Baptist. So we still try to get the word out, but unfortunately, they can still fall prey to these frauds and give their hard-earned money away. There was
Giant on Dilworth Town, that's in Thornbury, correct?
the Giant, yes, that's in Thornbury.
Do you have any idea, just from rumors, how bad they're being hit?
From what I understand, talking to security, that for the Westtown Giant, they're getting hit pretty bad.
It's pretty hard, I'll tell you. And CVS, Walgreens is closing.
The Walgreens in Thornbury? Yep.
But it was the one in Westchester, no? Is that the one? Yeah, CVS is closing.
And then the Walgreens, I understand, is closing.
Walgreens is closing in a lot of different.
Yeah. That's all for statistics.
I know it is. Tell me from a resident.
That's all for stats.
Township Roundtable?
I can go first.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just a couple of quick things today. As I mentioned in the last meeting, there's a lot of activity still going on in 1010 Hershey Mill Road, the Millstone project, single family home subdivision, 13 or 14 homes going up. So as I told you last time, there was blasting going on. That is done. So there's no blasting, but getting utilities over from across the street with water, sewer, there's going to be a lot of traffic restrictions at certain points. So again, that's probably the biggest, land development we have going on, and just continue to be aware of it, I guess, is a big thing. Yeah. The good thing for those developments is once it's in the actual, once they have utilities over, it shouldn't be too much of street work. But other than that, all I have is our community days coming up. East Goshen Community Day will be June 28th. officially starts at 5 p.m., but it starts kind of early. I feel like everybody goes over pretty early, right? And then until dusk when we have the fireworks. So always a good time. Everybody should check it out, even if you're not an East Goshen resident.
I'd be delighted.
There you go.
Is it in East Goshen Park?
It is in East Goshen Park.
Where the fair is.
No.
Oh, the park.
Yeah, the park. Best park in Chester County.
Yes, it is. I was there.
So yeah, that's the big event coming up, and that is all I have.
We just continue getting complaints from residents of Ice Hockey Rink. That business complex applied for conditional use approval, so the dental office had moved out. So we would have a new advanced laboratory services moving in at some point in the future. They went through the conditional use approval. We are waiting for the decision. On the land development side, the Stokes development for 78 homes is still going through the administrative process. I expect that the planning commission would probably review it sometime in June, July. So it probably would go in front of the board, maybe August or September. But if it is approved, it's probably not, you're not gonna see any activity until next year or so, an actual construction. As you know, as a part of the conditional use approval for that subdivision, there was a condition that the applicant provide money to the township for traffic calming measures along Shiloh Road. So we will have to figure out the timing of that, when to meet and discuss what can be done with that money. So, and I don't know whether we would wait until construction is fully done to see what the impact would be on Shiloh Road before doing that construction. Darlington Inn, that's on the corner. I think we are fairly close to bring it to the Board of Supervisors for consideration for approval of that subdivision. PennDOT will be starting, the contractor for PennDOT will start that project. They said June 1st.
Okay.
For the improvements. Verizon and Comcast are still going back and forth about the tree across Old Wilmington Pike. So Verizon's supposed to take care of the tree, but I don't know. The demolition for 2 structures on Crabelly is gonna start in the next week or so. So there would be some impact on 926, just a minimum impact. So they will take out 2 structures. But I don't think, and then we've been having a couple of complaints about use of drones at Oakmont Park and metal detecting in some of our park and open spaces, which the board will be discussing on Monday.
As far as the drone, is that non-police drone? Because we've actually.
Yeah, it's non-police drone, and it's primarily complaints about noise. It's not the privacy related. They just say that you can go outside and you can hear, and we got a video recording, what it sounds like, but it's not a police drone, so.
Just to follow up on what Bill was saying about Crabelly related. Just I want to thank you for arranging for the safety and security of those who were at Crabelly for the cleanup. And I had talked to Ray D'Andrea after you and I had talked, who's was coordinating the event. And I said to him, the police will be around. And so any concerns that we should have, and I said, but if the cops say to move, and that was totally agreed. And they ended up picking up 53, I don't know if it was trash bags or what, there was a lot of.
53 bags plus big items that
So I
don't.
talked to David Robinson, actually he called me 2 days later. And he said, things are looking really good.
Yeah.
And I said, good. I said, I'm happy that you're happy. More importantly, I said, the coordination was done both by administration, our administration, plus with your help and plus Ray's group, I think is really helpful.
Glad it was successful.
So it's good. Yeah, very much so. I got something to actually give out, and I'm going to ask everybody to take a moment to read this. Mila mentioned about complaints about around the place, around the hockey rink.
Where's that?
And this is the.
It's on Westchester Pike. There is a business center, it's Green Lane and Route 3.
This is the most recent letter. And by the way, we get at least one or two of these every single day.
Oh, I start my morning with it.
You're asleep at the wheel again. That's the name of a country group, Asleep at the Wheel.
Oh, you see, I would not know that.
See, yeah. Very popular.
The tone of these letters that go to Mila and our supervisors. I'd like to say that they go up and down, but they become sharper every day.
He sends these every day.
Oh, more than
Yeah.
that, yeah.
You never show up to a township meeting?
No, yeah, none of the people who are copied here, we've had, zoning hearing, board hearing just recently. No, none of them showed up. Conditional use hearing, nobody showed up. We invited them to the public meeting, to the Board of Supervisors, and they did not show up.
Interesting.
I did recommend, and to Dave that, and I know Brenda did this once.
Mhm.
And I think it'd be helpful if we can help diffuse it in some way. Now, this may end up making it worse, but at least and it's not just the person who wrote it at this point. It's that we're getting other letters now, so sort of in support of what he said from these people, okay? At the end of the day, they can't be satisfied.
Right.
So the real issue is that what can be done, what can't be done. And I'll leave that to you to work out with if he'll.
Mhm.
I've only had one contact with the man, and that's a number of years ago. After I think I was in my first year. And so I said, hey, you know what, I'll go and talk to the guy. And when I literally showed up, I showed up with one of the other neighbors. He took me there, and the next thing I know is that I was being cursed at, yelled at, screamed at, the rest of it. Okay, comes with our rules. The question would be and that goes back to that conversation that we had about, when does something look like it's going overboard?
Right.
We don't need to discuss that now, but it's.
Right.
It'll be helpful. I wanted you to see the most recent because this literally was yesterday. Okay. We've advised Mila at times that, best thing for her to do is ignore it. That just makes people angrier.
Right.
On the other hand, you could say, anything in response and it's not gonna help at all.
Mhm.
So to the degree that we can help take it off her hands, I think whatever you can, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I've actually tried, not recently as your suggestion, but I will try that. I want to tread lightly how I go about doing that.
Sure.
As you mentioned, it could make things worse. In the past, a few years ago, I actually did try to make contact with this individual after a complaint that was received regarding the rink, and he wasn't home at the time. But when he found out that I was there with another officer, he was extremely agitated by it. That was like I said, probably 4 years ago or so, but I understand what you're saying. I think.
Great. Okay. Approval of the bills for April 16th and the 30th.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions about it? No question, any Tom?
No, I'm sorry.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Old business, there's none. So we'll go to new business. Kathy, administration hiring.
Right. So most of you know here that Caitlin Coffin has been offered a position at Willstown Township in their administrative office, and we will miss her dearly. And I would like to, since we have a temp, Kira Jocelyn, that's been covering for one of our other admins maternity leave, I would like to know if we could hire Kira on a permanent basis. She's been working out great. She's been here since, I believe, December 1st. She's a quick study and very pleasant to work with. If we have permission to hire her, we can discuss salary and whatnot off, away from the public meeting.
Yeah.
So I'm just requesting that maybe we give her a conditional offer of employment and we can discuss benefits
Just
and
for the
salary.
sake of the argument, because the public might, can you tell us a little about her?
She just graduated from Westchester University not too long ago. She's very quiet, very pleasant. She's great with the public. And like I said, she's a quick study. She's not married, has no children at this, and lives about a mile from here.
That's perfect.
She's a great girl.
Put a motion forward?
Yeah, I move that we authorize Kathy to make a conditional offer to the young lady for the admin role.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And I wish Caitlin the best.
Thank you. Yes.
Mutual aid agreement.
This, as I was presented to the police commission, it's a mutual aid plan that's been created by the Chester County Police Chiefs Association. Basically, just lays out a structured plan for mutual aid as is laid out under the Multi-Jurisdictional Act under Pennsylvania law, where police departments can assist other police departments in the Commonwealth. This again just lays out the structure if they're for pre-planned events, major events where we as an agency or another agency, if they requested it, didn't have the resources or personnel to cover that event, they would reach out to the board of the mutual aid, which consists of 6 chiefs, and they would assist in the time of need for that assistance. And again, this plan is modeled off Montgomery County's that's been in place for years. It's been vetted by the district attorney's office, the different legal firms, and it's supported throughout the county as far as the chiefs. So I just request it's going to be brought to the chiefs probably very shortly, within the next month or so, to be signed and agreed upon. So I just request authorization to sign it when it's presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Officers' comments.
Brian, any of you?
Yeah.
Brian, do you have any comments?
Overtime report.
So between March 24th, 2025 and April 20th, 25, there were total of 283.5 hours of overtime, 15.5 hours of those were operational overtime, 38 hours were personal overtime, 185 hours were sick. Again, a lot of that is being classified under an officer who's currently out on a work-related injury, and 45 hours of patrol overtime. I just want to take note of the patrol overtime compared from the date range I just mentioned to earlier in the year, where there was 45 during this pay period back in the earlier part of the month or the year rather, in January to February, there was 100. So that patrol overtime has been going down just based on different measures that have been taken within the police department.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a quick comment. Is there a way for us, are you able to just email that to us on the year over year so I can let my board know
Yes,
too?
yep.
Cost savings.
This may be a sort of an out-of-the-box question. How does our overtime relative to the number of our officers compare to other police departments' overtime relative to their staffing level?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can definitely research that for you.
That'd be really helpful just to get a sense.
Could I just add something there? The way our overtime is listed in our budget, we consider vacation, sick, comp, personal, anytime we replace anyone as overtime. Other departments don't necessarily do that. So when we do compare, because we've compared in the past, a long time ago, their overtime is basically, if an officer's working a 10-hour shift or a 12-hour shift and they have to stay an extra hour or two, that's what they consider overtime. We also- Right, we also consider it overtime, but this commission over the years has lumped, anytime we have to replace anyone on vacation, sick, comp, personal, training, and firearms, we've all lumped that into, we have a lot of overtime.
So if, sort of trying to wear a different hat for a minute, is that if you were to restructure all that again or redo it all over again, bless you. See, as soon as you mention overtime, Kathy starts sneezing. Which is a better indication of true overtime? The way we do it or the way perhaps others do it? And I'm not suggesting we're doing it wrong. I just don't know.
Right.
If we're comparing apples to,
Personal choice, obviously, but I think anytime we've discussed overtime in budgets and whatnot, I've always explained that, you know, when we replace an officer, sometimes we replace them with a part-timer and it's not overtime. Of course, we're shorter part-timers right now. So anytime we replace anyone now, it's at the overtime rate, but we're replacing them due to a benefit, a vacation day, a sick day, personal day, comp day. So when it comes to like overtime is out of control, to me, it would be because an officer had to stay over his shift, or we had to call in an officer because there was a murder or something like that. That to me is overtime.
when you were actually doing the work of the chief, how did you gauge overtime? How did you look for it?
We broke it down a little bit differently. If it was training, we training, so that when we explained it to our city council, you could say it was training, we had mandatory training and so on and so on. I think by putting it all in one pot, it doesn't give a clear picture of what's going on. And the reason why we did that, I have no idea, but I think most agencies break it down to so that you can, it's a manageable thing then, that I know that I've got to send officers for training, or I've got to do this, or I've got to do that. So you can break the categories down and you're not hit with a stock number, like, geez, but we got so much overtime. But that was a personal choice that seemed to be pretty well accepted, but that's an option, Dick, and it's a little more easy to understand, I think.
Would it make it more difficult for administration to sort of maneuver those numbers along the lines of what he just talked about?
Court overtime, we would list court overtime.
It is actually listed in the, on the, I think report there. It's just that, see how I have this box around
Yeah,
vacation, sick, overtime, comp and personal. This overtime line right here is 87,926. Right now, we're at 40%, which is about right, what we should be. That is just an estimate of what I think we're gonna use this coming year in 25 for officers working over their shift because of a call, not because they're replacing someone on vacation. If that was the case, that would be this line right here, and I estimated it about 62,000. Right now, we're at 54%. Okay, we're at 54% because under vacation overtime, if you want to call it that, it's also when like our former chief sold for vacation days. That's included in that. So it's at 54%, but technically we really haven't used it as overtime. We're using it as sale of days as well. So the only one that would be abused would be the overtime line at 87,000, where you could say possibly, not that they do this, but hey, couldn't someone else have handled that call after your shift? That kind of a thing. So it is already broken down. I just
So it's just a
always
matter
like,
of talking about it differently
Right.
versus doing anything.
and whenever I'm in a meeting and we talk about it, I always bring that up, is that you guys have to remember that the actual overtime line is just for when they've stayed over their shift.
but until we just discussed it now, is that, so you do that internally in your discussions, but the police commission, that's not what we've heard. But we just sort of get this
Right.
bigger number.
Do you break down,
I
do you have a
suggested-
budget item, I can't see it, for training?
Yes.
Does that include
We
the
have
overtime that you?
training, core, yeah.
Training
sick,
to hire.
personal, yeah.
Okay.
My suggestion would be this overtime breakdown, that it just be strictly overtime, time and a half, right here.
Right, because
The rest is a benefit that we have to provide. And we do, but we've always had to include it down here. But I would think moving forward, to make apples to apples here, comparison, we should just do the ones that are overtime time and a half. Or strictly because they had to stay. You can see search warrant, end of shift, possible burglary, DOA, things like that. The Tesla protest even.
Right.
Was not because of a call, but the air chief, he wanted extra patrol there because we've had so many problems.
So would that be called overtime?
Yes,
That was considered, the Tesla, when we had coverage, we haven't in the last few weeks, we haven't needed it, but at the height of the Tesla protest, we had two officers, I think it was 2 weeks in a row on overtime, just dedicated to that.
So going back to the mutual aid, let's assume some of our officers are involved in the mutual aid relationship in some kind of, some event that happens. Will that be part of
that would be
overtime?
overtime. Yep.
Yes. So that would be, we would be covering, our officers and vice versa. If we needed it, that department that came in, they would be covered. We wouldn't be paying.
Good
that.
example of that is the D Cavalcante.
Yeah, exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great,
So how do you feel, sort of wearing your hat, based on what Kathy's saying, is that the way we would report is doing it differently? You comfortable with that?
yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, you have your operational overtime, which is basically what that time and a half is. When we say the operational, meaning having to stay over, like Kathy described. And then just like the OT, the overtime that's listed here, let's just say the sick overtime, obviously that's overtime that was generated from replacing an officer that was sick. Obviously, two different things.
That would include work comp too.
Right, yep.
Sick is considered work comp.
How do you guys feel?
We will always keep these records here. We always keep that if you ever needed it. But for the benefit of the meeting, just these overtimes here would probably be what you would want.
The other thing that I think will be helpful, and I go back to, I think what Cody mentioned, is, and I remember raising this with Brenda, it's always helpful to get some kind of comparison, whether it be the year before, same time frame, but the year
Right.
before.
We were asked to do the 3 months before,
Yeah.
and that's where we see this here.
I just wanted to know during those 3 months from if we, during the reporting of it, I think that'd be really helpful. In other words, how are we doing?
So I just want to clarify something so if we were, like I said, we were to compare this year, where we're at so far going up to, let's say April 30th.
Yeah.
Compared to last year.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to look different because obviously we're at a different staffing level. As far as not utilizing a part-timer that we had last year. Now we only have one, we had two.
But to me, it doesn't matter what the reason is. It'd be helpful for that to be the explanation, but to be able to compare it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, normally in business, that's what one does in sort of an enterprise is, okay, it's how we're doing this year versus last year. And I think that'd be really helpful.
So rather than the 3 months prior, you would prefer this same period last year?
Yeah, I think that, to me, that to me,
It's easy for me to tell my board too.
exactly, my board will get a better idea of how we're doing.
Okay, we'll just change it. And do you still want firearms training, personal, or do you want to just do the overtime?
I would prefer all of it.
Okay. Just so that you know.
Yeah, just so I know.
Yeah.
Because correct, this is what I was told previously. The only thing we can really control on the overtime control is the overtime and a half. We can't control we can't control vacation, sick, personal.
Right.
The only thing we could cut per se, if at current staffing levels, would be overtime and a half.
I'm sorry. So a lot of that you may not be able to just because of there's a need for
Yeah.
it. So you can't, an officer staying over because they're on a domestic that, came in and they're staying over an hour because they made an arrest. You can't, cut that. But obviously it's up to our sergeants to, do the best to manage at shift change, how calls are handled. They're well aware of that. That's how we manage it there.
The only thing that I would ask is that I still like the idea of comparing it from the previous years.
I agree.
Let's give you an example. In this particular time frame, February 24th, 2025 to March 23rd of this year, training was 68 hours, right? It'd be really helpful to know from last year during that same time frame,
Yeah,
because
let's make another column over here.
was there more training? Was there less training?
Mhm.
Is that controllable? going forward? I mean, I'm thinking outside.
Yeah, I mean, it could be different each time of year,
Sure.
depending on what we're doing. Obviously, in the fall,
Yeah.
you see a large training, fall and spring because of our firearms. So whether it's the officers are in training, getting paid time and a half, or somebody's replacing their spot because going overtime because they're in training. It all depends on the time of year. But basically, spring and
But if you were to look at, let's say, I'm making this up for a minute, the last 3 years. If you took the last 3 years, just even 2024, 2023, 2022. If you took the total amount of training during those each of those years, would they be about the same number of hours?
I would have to look at it. I can't tell you that.
But that's a kind of comparison I'm interested in, is that, you know,
Yeah, off the top of my head, I think it would be within that period, but I know MOPEC and the Commonwealth has added more mandated training that each department has to do in addition to their regular mandatory service training.
How much per year now?
So you have your Act 180s, which is your mandatory and service training. You have 16 hours of that they have to do. But then in addition to that, there's a control tactics course that's mandated that officers complete every year. So we do that in the fall. That's another 8 to 10 hours of training there.
Per officer.
Per officer. Yep.
And that's not part of the 180 training?
No, it's separate. It was added a couple of years ago.
I love unfunded mandate.
Right.
That's good, but
all right, month-end reporting.
Okay, so for the month of April, our payroll expenses are approximately 2% of the budget. Mostly due to, we had one of our admin on leave for 3 months. Our benefit expenses are over budget at 13.6%. That's not unusual for this time of year. Vehicle expenses are over budget by 1.8. Again, that has a lot to do with the vehicle replacement line item. We pay most of our car payments in the beginning, the first 6 months of the year. Our other expenses are over by 39%. A lot of that is due to the $72,000 that we put out in January for the grant, but we're refunded. You'll see that under expense. Our total budget is over budget by 5.13%, and not concerned. I think we're doing great.
Let me ask you to frame it a little differently, just for the sake of the argument. In every circumstance, there's always one way of looking at something and say, everything's cool. Another way of saying it is that, yeah, but if I have a concern, it would be the following. Well, if there are any concerns going forward, what would they be at this moment?
Probably legal expenses. We seem to get, unusual. When there's an arbitration or an issue with personnel, legal expenses can go overboard. And I think this year that would be it. We did have to pay for staffing study. We had a bill in 2025 that we weren't expecting. Those are the only two things, both of them considered legal.
And all we got going on this year, we can't really control that.
No,
Too much.
is the police chief search, is that gonna be a funded item from this budget? To hire the
That's a
firm.
good question.
I
would assume so.
It's been so long. I'll have to look back to
If
see.
we took the study out of this side.
Yeah.
Out of this budget.
I assumed it was being handled the same way.
yeah, same here.
So it becomes out of this pile.
Yeah.
Most likely in 2026, though,
Wait,
with the way things,
Well, some.
we
of
haven't
it's
even started it yet, right? So maybe some of it'll be out of 25 and some of it'll be out of
I think
26.
it'll be 25.
What?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's,
Dollars on about the budget.
And so that was not budgeted for, just so you know. I wasn't aware that.
but neither was the study, was it?
Chief. The study was budgeted for in 24, not 25.
Just a quick comment, follow up on Dick's good question is, what I'm most concerned about moving forward is replacing all this stuff that we got via
Right.
grants and
That's
trying to
right.
figure out how our budget doesn't go up $800,000 somehow.
Right, that's on my list for when I do the budget. I have a full report for you.
Okay, thanks. I know I say it every meeting, but I just
That's
assume on this
okay.
meeting.
You know, it's good to remind me that it is on my list.
One other question, are we still using the part-time employee in a full-time position?
She's working, basically full-time hours.
So that answer is yes.
Yes, she's not full-time, but
I
yes,
didn't know. Are we still using a part-time officer, not gender not included, in a full-time position on the schedule?
in full-time hours, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. PPU report? With a caveat, we're not actually following the PPU, but it's good to know.
So split between East Goshen and West Town, for the year to date is 45.87 for West Town and 54.13 for East Goshen.
I have to say that when I read those numbers, I thought, boy, this is as close as we've ever seen it at this time of year. Did you do that through magic? or-
Yeah, just wave a wand.
All right. Public comment. Earlier tonight.
Any other reason to be here, Jason?
There's nobody online other than
Oh, okay.
members of the department.
So with that, thank everybody for here and, do I hear?
So moved.
Second.
So,
Aye.
Yeah, we're going into another session, right?
Yeah. Do face rush.
Good,
Well,
quick
we
meeting.
would follow here. The email, I'm gonna email you today. But I see.
See you.
I was gonna let you know how we.
Take care, my friend. Okay.
Have a good night. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Because I
Are
think.
you going on vacation?
Impression.
I am.
You get one of those too?
Every now and then.
We're on the impression it's gonna be more of a
Dave,
committee, so.
Would
we
you
were
tell
gonna-
Ryan that I'm still in the meeting, King's